to get in the flip on Combot. We're going to go all the way.
这次他都不会把车好像被 KO 了。
Oh my God! That's going to hurt. Grab the milk, Jenny.
Welcome to the Combot Collective.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Combot Collective, bringing you everything you want to know about the world of robot combat, from the heavyweight class to the fleaweight class, from Battlebots to the live circuit. I am your host, as always, Sterling Brown, and let's run down some of the biggest robot combat events of April 2022. Starting off with the granddaddy of robot combat, the 2021 Battlebots World Championship of course happened in September of 2021, but aired its quarterfinals onwards on the 7th of April 2022. It was a loaded Final 8 and was one of the most stacked Battlebot seasons of all time, with robots like the Kinetic Energy Flipper Blip, the California Rookie Riptide, and the British King of Carnage Combot all missing the semifinals, along with Team Riobotz' Minotaur, who had a shaky exit from the top 8 in a very controversial and confusing judge's decision against the eventual runner-up Witch Doctor. And speaking of Witch Doctor, the semifinals kicked off with Andrea Gallately absolutely bringing it to Jamison Go and G3 Robotics perennial championship contender Sawblaze in a very quick knockout in the two robots' third playoff meeting in as many years. Tantrum didn't have as smooth of a path to the finals, facing the Robot Combat Dynasty Team Waiachi's Hydra in a 3-minute barn burner that many fans thought the Flipper won. Battlebots judging though thought otherwise, giving serious damage credits to Tantrum and advancing the seems reasonable robot into the championship fight. Championship time now, as it was two teams a lot of fans did not expect to see in the finals this year in Witch Doctor and Tantrum, with Witch Doctor being a former finalist in 2019 while Tantrum recently reaching the top 4 in 2020. Both these robots have come close in the past, but only one can win the giant nut now. It wasn't the most exciting championship matchup by any means, but it certainly was suspenseful, with Tantrum playing it very surgically throughout the entire fight, landing a fortunate opening strike which high-centered Witch Doctor for the fight's entirety. This left Witch Doctor prone but still open to be very deadly as Tantrum would chisel its way to a mid-fight knockout, winning the Battlebots 2021 World Championship and the Giant Nut. Congratulations to Aaron Hill, Ginger Schmidt, and Alex Grant on winning the ultimate prize in the sport, and I cannot wait to see what's next for Seems Reasonable Robotics. Now let's talk about April's Norwalk. Big teams from California and Brazil would reign supreme at this month's Norwalk Havoc event. Starting off with the 30-pound featherweight class, some robots that looked strong in March like Starfather and Ripperoni could just not get it going the same way at this event, while other March veterans put up pretty solid outings, such as the March NHRL champion Marathon, who drew even at 2-2, the same record as Waddles, who did respectfully despite not going as deep as they went in March. On the flip end, clusterbots like Polyester and Stop Hitting Yourself reigned supreme, going 6-4 overall, with the former placing third in the entire competition and qualifying for the December finals. Also qualifying for the finals would be this event's final two, as Jamison Go appears again here with Megatron facing the Jan Kaskas family, and NHRL Powerhouse bringing along the deadly horizontal spinner Litterbox. Jamison Go looked to be trying some fascinating tactics during this fight, attaching some straps on the robot which would draw some serious controversy and led to the two robots getting stuck together pretty early on in their championship fight. Litterbox would later on be declared the 30-pound NHRL champion for April. Moving on down to our 12-pound classes, Cornell University was really the story of the hobbyweights here, as in a very small 2-robot sportsman bracket, the robot Lance would dominate Woody 2 to become an easy sportsman champion, while their full combat 12-pounder Richard would gather some of the biggest reactions of the entire event thanks to their student section. Richard would ride this fan wave, beating robots like Milk Tank and Teleport en route to a top 4 finish, going down to the eventual champion Crunk, but successfully qualifying for the December finals. Speaking of Crunk, the sibling to March champion Prom Heda had a strong losers run after getting knocked out ASAP by Brazil's Sombra in round 1. Crunk would go on to eliminate Matthew Vasquez's Whomper, along with other robots like Woody, Richard, and eventually WPI's own Hot Leaf Juice in the stellar grand final, as Zach Nye gets its second straight NHRL monthly title. And lastly, in a class synonymous with Norwalk Havoc, the Beetleweights saw Loaded Fields kick off in a blaze of glory when California's Mixtape, a 3-pound robot with a 30-pounder's flamethrower, absolutely melted Wormhole in a dominant KO during the qualifying rounds. The big story though of this tournament was the arrival of Brazilian powerhouses Team AGVS, who brought the mighty trio of Sombra, Aloco, and eventual December finalist Wasabi to tear through the NHRL veteran beetleweights, going a combined 9-6 in the 3-pound class. Some of those said veterans had career nights also though, such as Seth Schaefer's division finishing with a 6-2 record, while friend of TCC Tony D'Ambrosio and his robot Blackbird running through the undefeated bracket, going all the way to the grand finals where we stopped dead in its tracks by 2021 NHRL annual beetleweight champion Lynx, captained by Mad Catter driver Calvin Eva. Lynx also had an impressive losers run, getting knocked out fast by Spartan before running it all the way back to the title and securing its place in the 2022 December finals and what will be Lynx's retirement event. Going out now to the Midwest for the MRCA, trying to establish themselves with a series of qualifying events, with a big time championship event in October we'll be covering in full later on this year. This was MRCA's second qualifying event this year, with the Michigan Sing bringing along a very nice arena. I love the slow opening pit wall and I really love these arena screws. But talking about the Fairyway competition now, as 16 tiny robots fought for the chance to be going to Milwaukee, as we go through the top 3, starting with the Silent Spring-esque Mr. Pokey, who placed third alongside the 2 finalists. Wedgebot Close Shave getting second, while Dropkick would take the Fairyweight title in a back and forth finale. Meanwhile, the Antweight class was a full 32 robot bracket with a vast array of designs looking to qualify for the 2022 October finals in Wisconsin. There are some really impressive Antweights flying under the radar here in Michigan, such as the Perky Flipper Pit House and the innovative Horror Vertical and its very fascinating Vortex Inducer style weapon. We also saw some robots and teams that are quite familiar to fans of NHRL, such as Santana Stark's Little Twisty, who finished 3-2, and Weird Flex coming from the Wicked Wedge gang, finishing 4-2, only losing the top 3 placing robots. And speaking of the top 3, one of my favorite designs of this entire competition was Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, placing third with a build that blinds the line between Droopy and 13 Black. This black and pink Bristol bot would get wins over robots like Killer Bowtie, Karen, and even Weird Flex in a 2-second tap out win before falling to the pair of robots which placed in the top 2. The finals of this event would be dominated by a pair of Wedgebots here in all business white 4-wheel drive Wedgebots, Necessary Evil and Garchomp. Both these robots bullied their way through the bracket to reach the final. 2 Kickbots of the exact same look entering a pushing war here, as the red-wheeled Garchomp would end up being the better pushbot come the end of the grand finals, winning a close judge's decision against Necessary Evil. You can likely expect all these top 3s to be at the 2022 MRC finals in October though. Let's jump back to the East Coast now and head to the prestigious University of Florida, who held their first ever robot combat event, Scuffle in the Swamp, in collaboration with Palm Beach Bots. Starting with the smaller Plastic Ant class, there were some really pleasing looking robots in this class like Wedgebot Cheddar, the Drumbot No, and the very huge BCS. The top 3 in this class though saw Phantom Oxide, the plastic counterpart to Phantom Fire, getting third, while Combine, a Drumbot adorned with the Florida Gators colors, placed second after dealing with some technical woes early on. And making the whole competition pretty in pink, the Shufflebot Undercutter Death by Glamour lived up to its name and took serious advantage of the weight bonus. Meanwhile, in your full combat Antweight class, some real surprising forces of destruction came out of this group, like the beater bars of Cough Drop and eventual third place at the event, Phantom Assault, who picked up some big wins but would also get knocked out of the winner's bracket by its teammate and eventual Antweight champion Phantom Fire. Phantom Fire is your classic 2-wheel drive horizontal spinner, taking an undefeated run to the title where it capped it off by defeating runner-up Insomnia, a 2-wheel drive vertical spinner which you may recognize as a 3-way robot during the March NHRL event. In the Beetleweight class, one robot reigned supreme as the powerhouse Egg Beater Mechanical Advantage came fresh off its last event undefeated before doing just the same here in a dominant 6-0 run. The champ would defeat robots like the deadly 3-pound Jumbot, Phantom Cyclone, who placed third, and runner-up Poet, a very impressive looking horizontal spinner, twice in a pair of hard-fought matchups. Outside of the top 3, we also saw some really fun designs in this competition, such as Canyon Large, a cataclysmic 1-wheel drive horizontal spinner, and of course 2 F-150s strapped to a raccoon. A wild robot with a wild name, as this Clusterbot had shades of Stewbot, being literally 2 RC trucks and a stuffed raccoon, which got eviscerated by the impressive full body spinner Kilobot in its debut fight. Huge event overall though for the Phantom crew of robots, as I believe every single one of their robots placed top 3 in their respective classes here in Florida. It's now time to get international as we cross the pond and go to the UK and specifically Crewe Cairn in England for Norwalk Havoc, a 30-pound sportsman competition hosted by none other than Bristol bot builders who have been carrying the UK scene all year. This event was loaded with various control bots in a heat style bracket, seeing some lifting robots such as Neophyte, Agamemnon, and a very nicely themed 30-pound regular Pizza Time all having respectable outings. Some overhead weapons too made an appearance, like the Crusher Catch-22 with its Smee clone mini-bot, and axe bots like Gimli, Untitled Goose Robot, and the robot that ended up taking third place, Steve. Steve had a solid point-scoring arm as his weapon, making aggressive tapping the primary strategy. But tapping wouldn't be enough against Mucha Lucha and Grab Crab, the two incredible lifters which ended up placing top 2. Both these robots ran undefeated routes to get to the finals, both scoring easy pittings and out of the arenas throughout the entire event without much competition. But in an action-packed finals, it was back and forth control, with both robots being thrown over multiple times during the fight's duration before the audience would ultimately choose Grab Crab as the Norwalk Havoc champion. Not leaving the continent of Europe yet though, as we're now hopping over to Germany, the home of 2021 Battlebots competitor Jaeger and numerous other combat robots prior. Hosted by the German Roboteers Association, the Mad Metal Machines event comes out of the city Bochum and is the first German competition I have heard of in quite some time. It was a small field of beetleweight robots here with not much going on in terms of active weaponry, but we did see 2 unique wedge bots placing 2nd and 3rd in Ryokishin and In the Pit respectively, as I believe the latter of these two had a shovel style weapon. But our champion though ended up being Hand the Hammer, a very unique twack bot with a flailing hammer of sorts, but really won its fights thanks to his solid drive power and ground game. Congratulations and thank you to Witherana, the driver of Hand the Hammer and the person who supplied me with this footage of the competition. Now heading on down to South America, as Robocorp, one of the largest robot competitions hosted in Brazil, had their RSM Challenge 2022 championship on the 21st to 23rd of April in the city of Sao Paulo. It was a loaded house with a stacked field of Brazilian teams, and expectedly so, as this was one of the largest robot combat events held in Brazil since the pandemic. Not much info though is known on this event, nor is there much info outside the competition's Instagram page. What we do know is the top 2 of all 3 of these weight classes, starting with Fairyway here, as the 2-wheel drive wedgebot Stonks took the finals against Pol Polka and Undercutter, while in the Antweight class, Team Uriah, you of course know from events like Battlebots with Black Dragon and RoboGames with General, took first here with their 4-wheel drive vertical spinner Bacon, who knocked out a pushbot named Deontay in the 1-pound final. And in the beetleweight finale, it would be Drisk versus Drum, as the husky Cavaco coming from Team Troya would defeat George, your traditional 2-wheel drive beetleweight drum bot, to take the beetleweight gold. The next Robocorp combat event is stated to happen in November and will go all the way up to the lightweight class, something to look forward to there. We now cap it off with what was arguably the largest event prestige-wise to happen this month. It was the IIT Techfest RoboWars in Mumbai, one of the largest and most important robot competitions in all of Asia, and something we've covered in some detail in the Combot Collective before. Despite moving past the pandemic, this year's IIT Techfest wasn't as grandiose as years prior, but plenty of fans still poured in for this event, along with some international teams, as we start and end this video talking about Team Riobotz, who would win both of the weight classes here in India. In the featherweight class, we would see Team Xenon take both 3rd and 2nd place with Zorowar and Fate respectively, with the latter of the two going on quite the hot streak in its bracket run, getting plenty of quick knockouts and out of the arenas on its run to the finals, where it would fight Toro Light, a robot with plenty of success in RoboGames and numerous other Brazilian competitions. In the championship match, Fate really laid it in on the Riobotz robot, but Toro Light showed some of that signature Riobotz durability, as while it didn't deliver too much damage, it would take Fate to a duration it had not been so far in this event, as with just over a minute left in the fight, Toro Light would manage a stray strike to the side of Fate, knocking it out in the closing moments of the matchup. And in the 120-pound middleweight class, it was an inevitable clash of forces, as India's best team Blanca Bots with Tanaji, arguably the top middleweight in all of India right now, shared a bracket with the 120-pound representative Riobotz, Toro, who had all the same history and prestige that Toro Light has. Now, despite minimal footage, we know in one semifinals Team Xenon would get another 3rd place title with Begot, a two-wheel drive vertical spinner, but would get knocked out of the arena in literally seconds by Tanaji, setting the stage for this Blancbots vs Riobotz finale. Tanaji, with the bigger drum of the pair, would draw first blood with a vicious strike to the side of Toro, sending it reeling but also damaging their weapon in the process, as from that point on Toro would dominate control, aggression, and damage for the fight's remainder. A little bit of smoke would come out of Toro near the end of the matchup, but the fight would end up going to Team Riobotz, who went to Mumbai with 2 robots and left completely undefeated with 2 trophies. And that's going to wrap it up for our April recap. 8 events up and 8 events down, 4 from the US and 4 from all around the world here. Big shout out and congratulations to all the robots that placed top 3 in the various weight classes of these events, and especially a big shout out to Team Season Reasonable Robotics and Tantrum, the robot that ended up winning Battlebots 2021. We can't wait to see what those guys do in the future. But that's going to wrap it up for us here at the Combot Collective. I do apologize that this video, a video that's recapping events in April, is kind of coming out near the start of June, but we will be doing one of these videos for every month now, and you can expect the May recap to come out a little bit earlier, I hope, during the June month. We're going to have to see how that goes down, but if you're enjoying what you're seeing here, please follow us on Instagram, please follow us on Facebook, like, comment, share, and subscribe here on YouTube. This has been the Combot Collective, and we will see you next time.
This was the Combot Collective. Find us on Instagram and Discord.